Hey everyone, Laura with my very own quilt shop. I'm hoping this will be the first of many long arm quilting videos. First, a little backstory. About a year ago, we ran across, we call her Sunny, on a Facebook marketplace. Great price, but we had not been in the market for a long arm. But she was only 30 miles away. She was the brand I'd always thought I would get if I got a long arm. She's a Gammill. And so we just sat on it. It was still there. So finally we pulled the trigger, went down and test drove her probably about 5-6 weeks later. So sometime in March, and then arranged delivery once the ice cleared, because she had to come up this deck. The Gammills are not flexible, so you need to have a certain way to get them in and out of your space. And so she came up the deck. So April 30th last year, she got delivered. Her specs are, I think she's a 1995, so she's not new. She is a Gammill Classic Plus, which means she is 100% hand guided. She does not have the computer add-on, which means all of the quilting has to be done by me. So that is where the learning curve has come in. I have quilted about 3 or 4 like lap size or larger quilts, and about 4 smaller like table runner size between when we got her and last June, and then life intervened and she has been sitting. So it's time to get her back in action. We got her oiled and cleaned up this week. I had to relearn how to load a quilt. I've got in excess of 60 quilts, many of them small, but many of them not, that need quilting, and that was the impetus for pulling the trigger. That cabinet back there has the majority of those quilts in it, but there's also a bunch of large shop samples. That was the other thing, is when I added up how much it was going to cost me to have my shop samples quilted, especially the larger ones, it made sense to make this investment for the shop and do it myself. I had already been doing some free motion quilting on my domestic machine, which is a Janome. So the learning curve was a little bit shorter for me to transition to the long arm, because I already had some basic designs learned. You obviously are driving with handles instead of moving the quilt, which is actually much easier. She also has back handles to do pantographs, but I love free motion quilting. So the only things I had mastered prior to this week were swirls, which is what I love to do, and I do a lot of those on my domestic. And I learned what she called a loopy flower edge to edge all over design from a YouTube video. So this week, before loading this actual quilt, I loaded a white on white blank canvas, if you will, and just tried to practice different things, even tried feathers. I should back up a bit. Before I ever take a design to the machine, whether it was on my domestic or Sunny, I doodle a ton on paper. I bought a little sketch pad for $1 from the Dollar Tree when they was still $1. Now it'd be $1.25. And doodle, get that muscle memory going. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos. So then this week I took some of those doodles to an actual piece of fabric, and I did all of that. When I got to the last third of that, I knew that I wanted to, my next design to take to a quilt was going to be a mix of paisleys, some people call them teardrops, some people call them headbands, and a leaf combination. So that is what I am doing on this quilt. This is what I've already gotten done, and I'm going to do a little quilting for you. This paisley design has a lot of flexibility. You can do a lot of things with it. It's an easy transition from swirls to paisleys. One thing that takes a little bit of practice to learn is how to keep going in the direction you want to go. You have to, if I want to go this way and I'm going to do 2 arcs, you start by going this way. You go the opposite direction and then come back. Now before I start here, I do have a little bit of plan. I want to come down here. So since I want to go this direction, I'm going to start quilting to my right so that I come back here. And then my general plan is I'm going to do a few paisleys, and then right here is another good spot for one of these beautiful leaves. The leaves and paisleys mix really nicely together because the leaves are just nice to then do paisleys around, and then you can fill in paisleys around the leaves. So let's do a little bit of quilting. Again, practice, practice, practice is the key. Lots of doodling ahead of time. So first we got to bring our bobbin thread up. This particular quilt has, I'm using Signature on the top, and actually I have a ton of connecting threads. Many of you are familiar with connecting threads. I use their thread for piecing, and I used it a lot for quilting on my domestic. My Janome loved it. I have found that it works just great in the bobbins. I have not tried running it through as a top thread because I'm not sure it could handle the speed of the long arm as a top thread, but it works fabulous in the bobbin. So I have been using up some of my smaller, they're just standard size piecing spools, 1200 yards. I've been using those up in the bobbin, and that's what I've got in the bobbin for this quilt. So we've got our bobbin thread pulled up. We need to take a few stitches. I'm probably gonna stop talking while I quilt. I'm not that good yet to be able to talk and quilt much at the same time. So I'm gonna let Scott focus on what I'm doing on the quilt. See how that leaf fills in that space? The key with free motion quilting is even spacing, and if you make a bobble, you just keep going. And now I want to head back to my right, so I'm going to go to the left so that I can go to the right and continue my path up and across the quilt. Here I want to go to my left to fill in that space, so I go to the right. Here's another good spot for a leaf. And then there's another spot earlier in the quilt where you can go back and forth as many times as you want to echo. I want to fill in this space a little bit, so I'm going to come down to the outside and do a little paisley here to fill this in, dump back out, and now we'll go back to our bigger paisleys. If you vary the size, and you can come back this way too, if you vary the size, it adds interest. You can do multiple arcs if you want, if you need to travel back to where you want to go. And that's something that you get with practice, is how to travel. As Angela Walters says, the key to traveling is echo, echo, echo. So now this one, I did it on purpose. I went the wrong way, and I want to get back here, so I'll just echo back around. And here's where I'm going to throw in another leaf. And then when I'm done with the leaf, I'm going to throw in a little paisley here. I want to go back to my right, so I'm going to curve to the left to start with. I'm still traveling to the right, so I'm going to go to the left, so I can get back to the right. And we'll just keep doing that around the leaf. You do the directions a little bit different. I'm still going to the left because I ultimately want to go to the right. Now I have a little space on the other side here, so I'm going to travel back around before I bounce back out. And I am going to just take this off the edge so we can end the video. Stop the machine. So that's just a little example of how to travel, how to echo, and how to get from point A to point B. So as I continue to learn new designs, I'm hoping that I'll continue to do more videos showing different quilting designs, anything that I've learned as a newbie. I am most definitely a newbie on the long arm. So anything that I can share with you that might help you on your long arm quilting journey, I am happy to do that. Have a great day and thanks for watching.